Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Film Frontline. If you thought Shakespeare was just for dusty high school English classes, you are about to be so entirely wrong. We are diving deep into the brand new, unhinged, and totally brilliant adaptation of Hamlet starring the absolute king himself, Riz Ahmed. This movie just dropped its latest trailer ahead of its US theatrical release this April, and let me tell you, it is serving major main character energy, gritty crime thriller vibes, and family drama so toxic it makes Succession look like a Disney Channel original. Let's get right into the deep dive breakdown. This is not your grandmother's Shakespeare. Director Anil Karia, who actually won an Oscar with Riz Ahmed for their short film The Long Goodbye, is teaming up with him again to completely reimagine this classic tragedy. They have picked up Hamlet and dropped him right into the neon-soaked, high-stakes world of modern-day London. Specifically, this version centers around a wildly wealthy, elite South Asian business empire. When Hamlet's father, an incredibly powerful titan of industry, suddenly dies, Hamlet returns home to London only to find out his uncle Claudius, played with absolute menace by Art Malik, has swooped in, married Hamlet's freshly widowed mother Gertrude, and taken over the family fortune. And then the ghost of his father shows up, claiming Claudius murdered him. Let's break down exactly what makes this adaptation so iconic, starting with the sheer audacity of the execution. We're talking high-speed car chases, neon-lit underground clubs, and lavish traditional wedding banquets set against the gritty backdrop of the London motorways. This is a visceral, shaky camera, psychological thrill ride. One of the biggest flexes of this entire film, Riz Ahmed literally delivers the iconic to be or not to be monologue while speeding frantically in a car. That is the kind of chaotic, brilliant, girl boss level risk-taking we love to see in cinema right now. Now, let's talk about the cast, because this ensemble is stacked. Morfydd Clark steps in as Ophelia, and if you know her from Rings of Power or Saint Maud, you know she does unhinged feminine rage better than almost anyone. Here, she is dealing with Hamlet's sudden, fanatical coldness, and it is heartbreaking. We also have Joe Alwyn stepping up as her brother, Laertes, and Timothy Spall playing a heavily menacing Polonius. From an industry perspective, this is a massive game changer. The implications here are huge for how we treat legacy intellectual property. Hollywood has been obsessed with rebooting the same superhero franchises, but this film proves that the ultimate cinematic universe is actually just public domain classic literature, reinvented for the modern era. Think about what Baz Luhrmann did for Romeo plus Juliet in the 90s with Leonardo DiCaprio. This Hamlet is doing exactly that for the 2020s. It takes the original text, yes, they are speaking Shakespearean English, and clashes it against extreme modern capitalism, proving that themes of gaslighting, powerlessness, and systemic corruption are truly timeless. But I promised you an honest breakdown, so let's talk pros and cons. On the pro side, the psychological intensity is off the charts. Riz Ahmed plays Hamlet not just as a brooding prince, but as a traumatized, heavily gaslit millennial who is questioning his own sanity in a world that demands he just keep his head down and go along to get along. It is deeply relatable. On the con side, purists are probably going to be in the comments crying about the pacing and the cuts. They completely sliced out characters like Horatio, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern to streamline this into a tight 2-hour revenge thriller. If you were a strict Shakespeare academic, the frantic, shaky cam aesthetic and chopped-up text might feel too chaotic. But honestly, that chaos is exactly what makes it work for a modern audience. Now, for a quick fan theory that's blowing up my feeds. There's a huge conversation happening about the ghost. In traditional theater, the ghost is a literal supernatural element. But the way Korea directs this film, leaning so heavily into psychological thriller territory, it totally opens the door for the interpretation that the ghost is just a pure hallucinatory delusion. It's Hamlet's own psychosexual projection of grief, depression, and disgust at his family's corporate greed. The film leaves you questioning, is Claudius actually a murderer, or is Hamlet just losing his grip on reality under the weight of his generational trauma? I'm obsessed with that angle. And that brings me to the Film Frontline opinion. Personally, I think this is exactly the kind of disruptive, boundary-pushing cinema the industry desperately needs. We're living in an era where everyone feels a little powerless, a little manipulated by the powers that be. Riz Ahmed's Hamlet captures that specific modern anxiety perfectly. It's not just a story about a sad prince anymore. It's a story about what happens when you decide to stop being complicit in a corrupt system and finally fight back, even if it burns your whole world down. It's bold, it's unapologetic, and it absolutely slays. Riz Ahmed has always been a phenomenal talent, but watching him redefine one of history's most complex characters with this level of swagger and vulnerability, it is a masterclass. So I want to hear from all of you. Are you here for these gritty, neon-soaked modern updates of classic literature, or do you prefer your Shakespeare kept in the Renaissance where it started? Drop your thoughts, your theories, and your hottest takes down in the comments below. And if you loved the steep dive and want to stay ahead of the curve on all things movies and pop culture, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Film Frontline community. We're taking over, one review at a time. See you in the next one.